WW2 Jeep. About 647,000 of them were produced during the war by both Willis Overland and Ford. This one is a combination of both. The parts were completely interchangeable, and if you look at the service manuals, they actually list the Ford and Willis parts for all the parts used in it. So as I said, yeah, this one's a combination. It's got a Willis engine and gearbox and the body, and the axles and chassis are Ford. Now this one's slightly different, if you like, being right-hand drive. That was a requirement for registration in some Australian states after the war, particularly Victoria, which is where this Jeep came from. So mine has been converted very well, and I'm very happy with it. You hear a lot of bodgy stories, and, ruined steering geometry and things like that, but mine's got none of that. It steers exactly like a left-hand drive Jeep. So without further ado, we shall have a look around the Jeep, and I'll tell you all about it. We'll start with the engine, and in here is the 2.2 litre Go Devil engine. L134 is the Willis model number, and it's a 3-bearing flathead long stroke, so it's actually got that in common with the Model T. On the top of the head, you might just be able to see it, it's got Jeep cast into the head. Now, Willis got the trademark towards the end of the war, and this is a 1944 engine. It's got a fuel pump. The carburettor should be a Carter, but it's actually a Stromberg, same type which was used in various 1960s Holdens, I believe. Water pump. I'm pointing out the fuel pump and the water pump because Model T doesn't have them. And there's an internal oil pump. It's a pressurized system. We've got an oil filter there, an oil bath air filter, voltage regulator, 6-volt battery, petrol filter, horn obviously, and the headlights are quite interesting because they're actually designed to flip up and be used as a service light. So if we undo the wing nut over, the headlight actually points up into the engine bay, so you can work on it at night. Cooling system is pressurized. What else? Oh, generator down there, starter motor in there, distributor of course, 4-cylinder. Okay, now around the front of the Jeep, we'll have a look at the right-hand drive conversion because that's something you don't often see. You can see it's got a single tie rod which is off a CJ, which is obviously makes sense because it would have the same steering geometry. This shock absorber has been added to function as a steering damper, and the drag link comes down from the steering box to another arm on the steering knuckle, and as part of all this, the braking system has been rebuilt. In the original left-hand drive form, there were actually two tie rods, and there was what was called a bell crank there, which actuated the two rods from there, and the drag link went up to the steering box on that side. Front differential is another Ford part. It's got a GP part number. Now the steering box is down there. It's a Ross T12, which is the original type, but this one is actually off a CJ, and I know that because the horn wire comes out the bottom rather than up the top. You probably can't see it in there, but there's where there should be a slip ring connection for the horn button. Okay, so that's the engine bay. Now the headlights they're sealed beam, but they're a different kind of sealed beam because they've actually got a conventional light bulb inside. So in theory they would still work if the glass was broken, and the sealing of the beam as such is to keep the moisture off the reflector so it doesn't tarnish. One day I might put LED bulbs in there, but that's low priority. Blackout marker lights. In the civilian world they're used as parking lights. Indicators, they're not required by law, but for one's own safety I highly recommend them. One of the accessories on this Jeep are these freewheeling Selectro hubs. I wanted them simply to, well, reduce the unnecessary wear of the front differential and the CV joints, because, you know, realistically most of the time it's going to be in two-wheel drive. Okay, the Pioneer tools, the shovel and the axe. The petrol tank is under the seat, just like a Model T or a pre-26 Model T. And in here if you've ever wondered how you fill it with a jerry can without spilling it, you've got this extension tube, and that's the sender in there. Okay, yeah, seating is pretty primitive, canvas cushions screwed to the frames. I mean, it's all you need. I mean, I can't imagine a modern car being sold like that. They'd have a million plastic clips and everything hidden and difficult to get at, and all sorts of other junk you don't need. That's why I bought a Jeep. Toolboxes. One of the difference between Ford and Willis is that the Willis toolbox lids are a plain design, whereas the Ford has an embossed edge around it. Jerry can. Now that was only fitted to later Jeeps after mine. Mine's a 41 or a 42 body, and I know that because it's got the Willis script embossed into it, and that was stopped in 1942 because Ford was also doing it, and the US government didn't want them advertising who made it. I mean, you know, for competitive reasons. Yeah, pintle hook, spare wheel. The lock is an accessory. The rear lights have been modified for civilian use, so it's got brake lights and indicators. The actual light housings are original, but the lenses have been changed to the appropriate colours. Number plate light is obviously a modern thing. Suspension wise, it's, yeah, leaf springs on all four wheels. It's got shock absorbers on all four wheels. That's the rear differential. It's got a Ford part number on it. Okay, inside here, conventional pedal layout, clutch, brake and throttle, light switch. These have been added in civilian life, so it's your high beam indicator and it shows your indicators working. That's the indicator switch itself. Ignition switch, choke, handbrake. I'll get to that in a sec because that's a transmission brake. Your transfer case in and out, high and low range, gear stick. The gear shifting is 3-speed, no synchro on first, but there is synchro on 2 and 3. So reverse, first, second and third. And your gauges, amp meter, temperature, odometer, speedometer, oil pressure and fuel gauge. Now, I know that's an early gauge because it says gas. That's fairly modern. That's definitely modern, as is that, because they're both, well, they've got Tokyo printed on them, and you can guarantee that wouldn't have been done during the war. But they're the right size and right appearance and everything. The extinguisher I've added, that was standard fitment at the time, but I've put a modern extinguisher in that position. Your data plates, how to operate the transmission, what speeds you should be going at it in each gear, and this has got things like your all the date of delivery, maximum payload, gross weight, all that kind of stuff. This is a repro plate, so there's actually nothing stamped on it. Dash lights, they're pretty useless because they just put a narrow line of light across the floor. Steering wheel. Now this is the later steering wheel, and it's actually a smaller one. To cut a long story short, the original steering column had been cut down by someone, and it was too short. So first I got a smaller steering wheel, okay, which solved that problem, so I could actually fit in it. And when I was doing some work on the steering box to get the play out of it, I found the worm drive in the steering shaft was worn, so I had to replace that. And that's when I discovered that the original should have been a few inches longer, so I had to replace the column as well as the shaft. So that's brought the steering wheel up to where it should be, and realistically I could put the original one back. Down here is the dip switch for the headlights, high-low beam, starter switch. Now here you can see where the old left-hand drive controls were blanked off. The round cover there is for the brake master cylinder, when it used to be on the left-hand chassis rail, but now it's down here on the right-hand chassis rail, a bit more accessible. Yeah, so it's hydraulic brakes, and the other thing we were going to look at is the transmission brake. I don't know if that'll come out, but yeah, there's an external contracting brake on the rear drive shaft, which functions as the handbrake. The disadvantage of that, of course, is it won't work unless both wheels are on the ground. tyres, they're the non-directional tread or bar tread tyres, 16 by 6 inch. I think that's probably about it. As to how it drives, well, it doesn't bounce around on the road like the Model T does when you go over a bump, but yeah, it's got a lot of good get up and go, and the low end torque is particularly noticeable. Yeah, I had it up to about 40 miles an hour down the highway a couple of weeks ago, and yeah, it went fine. Yeah, so there it is, the World War II Jeep. Very happy with it, and really like its design. I mean, when you look at it, you know, it really is a fine example of automotive design excellence, because there's just so much unnecessary junk which you don't have on it, which you would, you know, otherwise see on a modern car. I mean, all these things that you don't need, like computers and fuel injection and Apple CarPlay and so none of that, and yeah, love driving it.